Welcome in, wizards and sorcerers. This is going to be an opening for the most recent D&D Secret Lairs that came out early February, or at least that's when the sale went live. And it took about 60 days for them to get here. So if you follow Magic's Secret Lair debacles as they've been going lately, you'll know that the spin doctors, including old PR man Blake Rasmussen himself, often talk about in the Wizards streams how the new setup, which is very FOMO, you have to log in at noon on a Monday when you're often working. I was working when I was trying to get these, and I was trying to do two things at once. That model is supposed to, in their spin doctory way, make it get to you faster. I 100% disagree with the model. I think it's unethical. I think it's very consumer unfriendly. I think it forces people into uncomfortable situations to try and buy a thing that they may not even be able to wait until they get off of work to try and go do, because it might be gone. It's very much like a sneaker model, and it's honestly, it's not for adults with regular jobs. And anyway, I'll try not to be so sassy about it throughout the video, so I apologize. Because honestly, I'm very excited about Dungeons & Dragons. I have a Dungeons & Dragons cube. So the way this video will go is we'll open these up. We'll kind of ooh and ah at these. I don't know all of the little bonus cards that will be inside, although I know some of them may have been spoiled online because, like I said, I got mine way later than many folks did. But I don't know them yet. So we'll take a look at all that stuff. And then the second half, if you guys are just interested in the box opening and you want to log off, that's totally fine. But the second half, maybe for about 10 minutes or so, we'll just go over, talk about the current state of my Dungeons & Dragons cube. I've got it sitting right here off of camera. And we're going to show off some of my favorite cards and variants. And sometimes they're secret layers, sometimes they're just artist signatures, stuff like that. The things that I've incorporated into the cube, building it up over the years, and just kind of like a state of affairs for that prized object of mine, and introduce some of you to it. So whether or not you're a sorcery fan or a magic fan, I hope you can enjoy looking at some fantasy art. Some of it may be for you, some of it may not. But without further ado, let's bust on in here. We've got the first one, Dungeons and Dragons Whispers in Candlekeep. We've got a dragon here on the art. Contents say 4 traditional foil cards. Here we go. Well, maybe I'll do this side first. I will say the last D&D Secret Lair kind of super dropped the head beholders and stuff like that in it. And also book arts from the 5.5 edition and lower for Dungeons and Dragons. Actually came with a nice little box. I don't have it up here on the countertop, but these all come in little envelopes, and that's fine. But there was some style to that other one. It was a nice sort of box that had some felt to it, and I think had a D&D ampersand on the front in red foily paint. So the production value of these has dropped. I'll try not to criticize too much. Here we go. D&D, thank you for being a part of Secret Lair. Also, you were able to order those cards on the actual Dungeons & Dragons or D&D Beyond site, whereas this one was only available at Magic Secret Lair. So there were 2 different locations you could order those other boxes from. I wound up getting mine from the D&D site because the Secret Lair site was overrun and sort of a giant queue. And then I saw online that you could just kind of slide on over to the D&D side of things, and there were no lines, and there weren't. So we have ourselves wax paper, and it does feel like a little bit of it's thin. Are there 4 cards in here, or are there 5? I don't know if there are bonus cards and everything, but let's take a look at all these little beauties. We've got Counterspell here. We've got a Dragonborn Champion. We've got Klauth, Unrivaled Ancient. Wonderful card. And I've made space in my queue for these cards. And then everybody's favorite or not favorite, depending on how much you love when people copy A Million Dragons, Miriam Sentinel Worm. And then I'm guessing this may be our bonus card, Scaled Nurturer. So this is a dragon that makes mana and can also give you some life. It's nice having some art to add to the cube. The cube is really just a home for all sorts of artistic expression and special editions, so I'm glad to have any of these cards. here we go. On into Gale. Everyone's most on spectrum Baldur's Gate character, I guess. Would you say that? And I don't mean that in any kind of derogatory way. Everybody loves Gale. I love Gale. He has a Dr. Manhattan-like love scene if you want to go that far and kind of romance him in the game, which I have. But overall, he does remind me of Eugene a lot off of The Walking Dead, if you've ever seen that. Gale and Eugene both have mullets, both have brown hair, and have a certain joie de vivre about them. Without further ado, Gale. And what I will say is Gale really needed an upgrade in the art department. I will go ahead and flash the other Gale here. And what happens is a lot of the artists did not know exactly what, because I remember talking to Gavin at Gen Con, actually, the year that Baldur's Gate finally released. A lot of the artists for the Magic set did not know the final arts of how the characters would look in the game. And they changed over time in the game. If you played Baldur's Gate, there was a whole period where, they had certain haircuts, different looks, different attitudes. So I think some of the artists were given a disadvantage in that they had to try and imagine what these characters would look like. And the final product, it didn't always resemble the character in the game. So I'm glad they did Gale a glow up here. Oh, look at him grabbing at his poor Netherese token of his hubris. Here we go. Archmage's Charm, referencing an ending in Baldur's Gate where he ascends and you can potentially ascend with him. Ooh. It looks very serious there. And we have a personal tutor. Imagining this is the first time he sits down with you, trying to woo you. And then we have Secrets of the Dead. As he opens the magic tome in Baldur's Gate, slides in the purple amethyst, which in the foil doesn't quite show up that well. It's not too distinct, but it's there in his hand. Pops it in the mouth and talks with Vecna, or somebody else from the dead, I'm not for sure. So we've got 6 cards here: Brainstorm, Archmage's Charm, Arcane Denial, Gale, and Secrets of the Dead. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, draw a card. I mean, that seems really powerful. I do not know if that's a reprint. Is that a reprint or a new card just for Gale? Please let me know in the comments below. Everyone's favorite little princess coming up. You can't cast a shadow without some light. Ain't that the truth, huh? All right, so we've got old Shadowheart here. The first time I played through Baldur's Gate, Shadowheart left me because I went into the Trials of Shar without her and finished that whole section. And she was like, "What are you doing? That's my quest." And then she left. So I was not one of those people who was really seeking out romance for old Shar. And in fact, or Shadowheart rather, who can tell the difference? In the game, the initial, if you played through the early access period, which I did on Google Stadia, no less, that's RIP. Shadowheart was a big B. She was way more of a B in the very beginning than she wound up being in the game proper. Beseech the Queen. Black Market. I wish this would have been Black Market Connections. Black Market's fine, but give me something of value here. Nice to see old Maul there, trying to run her schemes. Victimize. She has the Spear of Night here. And then this is such a funny addition to this. So I went ahead and made space for this in my cube, but I'm guessing maybe in various Secret Lairs they will continue to reprint one dragon at a time. That's my prediction. Here's the Ancient Bronze Dragon. I mean, it's really pretty, and it has Shar in it. So it's going in the cube, but it's green, and everything else here is black. And then Pride of the Perfect. Elves you control get +2/+0, and Shar is out there swimming with you next to the Night Orchids, and not really sure why she gives other elves +2/+0, but we'll go with it. Apparently people online are excited about that being a reprint. I guess it was expensive at some point. And now we have Shadows over Baldur's Gate. Is this the one that has our favorite little red-black proffer? Is that his name? I can barely remember. I'm so removed from D&D, it's hard for me to remember what these cards even are. Okay, so we have in here this wax paper is so funny. All right, Grim Hireling. That's a nice one. The art, I'm okay. It's fine. I'm not a huge fan of the more cartoony stuff, but it is what it is. We have Wild Magic Sorcerer. First spell you cast from exile. Each turn has Cascade. It's an interesting inclusion. We have Zorn. You can make extra treasures. Now this one's weird because in the previous Secret Lair set, Zorn was one of the cards that you would get this special. It was a bonus card in the previous set. So including it in this honestly feels bad. I feel like they could have done more, could have done better. And I will always demand a little bit better from these Secret Lairs because it doesn't cost them anything. Uh-oh, we skipped the thing. We went straight to the bonus. You may find some prisoners. This is a fun instant speed spell and magic that it kind of gives red some flexibility, either destroying artifacts or kind of looking at their deck and casting something from the top. And we have Prosper, Tomebound, everyone's least favorite cast from exile boy. I mean, maybe not his least favorite. Some people like to play him. I think he can get out of hand pretty quick. He's like a must-kill commander on the battlefield. All right, so we have Strahd's Descent. We'll hit this up first, and then we'll end with the lands of the Forgotten Realms. So, Strahd. Beyond the mist, into the valley, to a prison eternal and dark. Yes. Thank you. Okay. This black paper reminds me of something. I don't know what it is. Wow, it's a mess up there. Okay. The Devil, Strahd, just the reskin of Stefan. More Progenitor. Not a super high value card, I don't think. Cast Off Consort. This is your value card, though. Your Bloodletter of Aclazats. The art's pretty wicked. I like that. In the Festivities. And got two more here. Castle Ravenloft, Voldaren Estate. Pretty cool. And finally, Bloody Betrayal. Gain control of target creature until end of turn and tap that creature. It gains haste and create a blood token. Sweet steal effect. Sweet threaten effect, I guess is what they call those. So one thing I like about these Secret Lairs is that they introduce cards that were not in the D&D sets, spells that were not in the D&D sets into the environment, so that as far as my cube goes, I can like expand the type of spells that I can play, right? So Black Market, I don't think was ever printed in a D&D form, or Beseech the Queen. And so now I can like kind of add more power to, I think there was a Brainstorm already in a previous set, so we'll see if I need to, maybe I'll just add two. Why not? I'll definitely keep the Gale one in there regardless. And now let's look at the lands, and then we'll get to looking at the cube for a second if y'all are interested. If not, you can hit like, subscribe. If you want to see more just box opening videos, I do like opening stuff. I'm a little goblin as far as opening things. I really enjoy the process. I know Professor says always buy singles, but that is way less exciting to put on camera. Look at the cool singles I got. I'm not that kind of guy. Destination, Faerun. Faerun? How do you pronounce it? I say Faerun. It's more fun. It's more a deep U. Rune. Now here, these are beautiful. And so they give you 10 lands, which they should honestly do in every Secret Lair, but they should probably give you like 20. I would want 20. But anyway, whatever. These are beautiful lands nonetheless. I won't complain too much. Here's your island. See if you can guess where these places are. I'm guessing this is Skullport, underneath the city. This is the Underdark, I'm guessing. I don't actually know where this mountain palace would be. That means I'm a bad D&D player, I guess. Ooh. And so this has got to be some kind of like artistic rendering of a famous lich's tomb. I'm guessing with a face like that, you should not walk in the door. And then we just have alternate copies of each. And there's one bonus card. Okay, I was about to say that they cut me short on one of my lands, but they have one bonus card. I'm assuming that will be valuable at some point. We got ourselves a nice little reliquary tower. And with an ancient silver dragon, which I have just a copy right over here, you might need yourself. Actually, this actually gives you the reliquary tower effect, so you don't need it then anyway. So that was our box opening. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to certainly enjoy putting some of these in the cube a little bit later, but what I wanted to do was kind of just give a state of the cube right now as it is. So I've been doing this for about 5 years. I have some cards kind of pulled out and selected. Like these were cards that are in my dragon deck that I took them out of this cube. And I know these things are expensive now, but I got them when they were less expensive. I'm not trying to like gloat or anything. I was really into this set, and people were just like straight up leaving cards. Like somebody just traded me this, a friend traded me this for like very little. I think it was like $11 at the time. Apparently it's not that anymore, is it? So I pulled out some selected cards that seem fun. We're going to go through those, like maybe different Secret Lair versions, different alternate arts, but then kind of look at the cube itself. I've got this little box. I need to upgrade the box that's on my list. It is about 540 cards-ish. And I have packs in here. You'll see reasons why, because I have silver bordered cards that fit the themes of D&D that allow you to fetch a pack. I may need to stock up on more of these so that I can keep running D&D specific packs. But I just haven't had the opportunity to do that. A friend got this special dungeon. There was like a special weekend where he got this gigantic Baldur's Gate wilderness. It follows the story of the game. So oftentimes, if we're going to use dungeons in the game, we will play with this in particular. So much shout out to Max, who now works at a local game store as well, for getting that and saving it for me. And inside of here, before we get into the cards, are just like special tokens that I've developed. Or here's even some, a friend got me at Gen Con, like this really hard like cut from RK Post for the Undercity. I don't use it that often. It's an interesting trinket though, like if somebody's going into the Undercity dungeon, it's an interesting, it's the only one I have. I don't have hard cuts of the others, but thanks Matt for that. So we've got our gold dragons that come from quiz. What sword do they come from? We'll see it very soon. We've got various goblins and copies, and these are all things that kind of happen in the cube. I love RK Post tokens. If you haven't seen his tokens before, it's maybe not D&D centric, I guess, but it makes me laugh. So we've got some unset tokens. I thought this token was beautiful from Wilds of Eldraine. It's a really pretty one, so that one's in there for the beast. Sometimes D&D had special art, like little in the packs of Adventure for Forgotten Realms, they had little monster manual things, which was such a flavorful, kind of loving touch. And then, so what I did is take a little pen and use the full art on the back, and sometimes make little tokens if I needed to, even though I know that's a mic in it. It's not a sapling. Sue me. So I name my zombies, by the way, a lot of times. In games, there'll be a bunch of different zombies. So we've got Willie, Cheryl, Tyrese, Bethany, Peanut, Cornholio. It just gives them some flavor, as you put them out there. A lot of times it's a faceless horde, but not in my games. In my games, they're undead, wonderful. There's Jarvis. You don't want to mess with Jarvis. I try to get the different arts for each zombie token, and they each get a unique name. So if people kill them, then, they might feel something. Todd, for instance, from the Star City Games token. Don't mess with Todd. Todd's just trying to unlive his best life. And gnomes. Silver bordered gnomes. You'll see why those are coming up soon. And a Brad Pitt Moneyball treasure token that my friend Jude made. Why? Well, because I ran a D&D game, and it's going to sound nuts, but there was an alternate realm somewhere in that game, which was totally high fantasy. Everything was like very in the world, but there was this one alternate realm that they managed to go to that was run by Brad Pitt, aka Coach Moneyballs. And it was a baseball stadium in which he kind of held court. It was a wild and wacky thing. And one of my players got me a hat that said Coach Moneyballs because they liked it so much. So other things I tried to do with the cube, I made sort of like, if you have a 5-player game, this sort of like hidden assassins type of game where each person gets a role. We flip these upside down and they get a role, and they have special abilities to each of them. And I use the full arts from the cards. And I made myself a wish board, because wish is one of the most powerful spells in all of D&D, but it's not really possible to play in almost any format. So instead of allowing that to happen, for the purposes of the cube, I've made a wish board, and these cards are not totally random. They're kind of like based on things that you might wish for, in stories. So like, I wish for more wishes. I wish for eternal life. I wish to be rich. I wish to be able to fly. I wish to be a giant cat stampeding over the wilderness. Is that anybody else's dream? Maybe not. I wish to read minds. I wish for, I don't know who wishes for total chaos. But anyways, you get the picture. So like, people can pick from these last sections in the book in order to get like their favorite wish met during a game. So just try to have fun with it. And so without further ado, let's go through some of the favorite cards from my D&D cube. Things I've collected over the years. So we've got these gold dragons. These dragons, I love the monster manual style art. However, this one is going to come up a little janky. I have a real version of this. I mean, and by real, I mean a version that doesn't, isn't bent. But this one's more of a funny story. If you can tell, there's a crease that runs all the way up and down this thing. But it has the signature. And so apparently the shop owner got a signature for me on the card. And unfortunately, it fell off of a cart and had a wheel roll over it or something. And, they still felt bad and gave it to me, but I still run it because to me the story is worth way more than maybe this like perfect version. I still need something for my dragon deck regardless, but I like the story more. The weird thing is that in this new set of cards, we're going to have this ancient bronze dragon that doesn't at all match the flavor of these. So I'm torn. I don't know what you all would do. I do love this monster manual art a lot, and I intentionally got these versions, but it feels like I need to now work on trying to get the other full art sort of more realistic versions instead. And won't that be an extra pricey expense? Woohoo! I'll tell you what, owning a cube is just I don't need to play the rest of Magic. This is going to cost me enough money as it is. This is from a gift pack that my friend Mike got me. He got me and notice it has the ampersand on it. So this is not the one from the unset. This is the one that came from the Hasbro 3-pack that had Nerf War, Grimlock, and Sword of Dungeons & Dragons. What a wonderful gift. I didn't anticipate it. Got it for me for Christmas. And this is just a beautiful card. And so to keep some fun in the game, flavor and fun, I have silver bordered cards. Goblin Tutor. Gotta love it. It's not very powerful. Stalking Tiger. This is one of the ways that we can get those packs opened. Three-headed Goblin. I noticed there was a distinct lack of goblins in D&D cards, so I went ahead and added some more. By Gnome Means. So we've got some gnome action. That's why those gnome tokens were there. It just kind of creates them, and then you can do some funny shenanigans with it. We got Krark's Other Thumb because there's so much dice rolling involved in D&D, so you get that. That's actually pretty powerful. And then we have Enter the Dungeon. Players play a Magic subgame under the table, starting at 5 life and using the libraries as their decks. Basically, this is a card that everyone else at the table, except for Carl, doesn't want to play with. Because the amount of, we're old, getting under a table sounds crippling. So we often hate draft it, and we don't do it. We don't try to be mean about it, but one day, Carl will get it, and he will be able to play us under the table. And it's going to be a great day for him. So it's in the deck. And these are signature cards. I love John Stanko's art. I mean, it's just Renaissance painting style, including this one, the Seasoned Dungeoneer. Absolutely gorgeous. John Stanko was playing Baldur's Gate at the time that I approached him at Gen Con and got these signatures. He was having such a great time. This is a different one here. We've got Dan Scott's Wrathful Red Dragon. So there's a few artists there. And then we got my favorite Baldur's Gate 3 character, Lae'zel, and has been since the very beginning. I like a woman who's brutish and orders me around, and I just had so much fun. So I not only got this card autographed, but it's an artist proof. So it's got a quick little sketch on the back. Makes Lae'zel look a little bit more like the Russian fighter from Rocky IV, but, she looks strong. Maybe that's all that matters. But thanks, John, for doing that. And yeah, I love Lae'zel. And the hard part about having signatures on cards in a cube is that a new player totally cannot read this. So some of the cube is pretty laid back. We try to keep it fun and light. There's no real pressure to like really min-max. So I wanted to share just the beauty of these special treatments. When Adventures in Forgotten Realms come out, like having a monster manual was such a love letter to a thing. So if you're going to do Universes Beyond, like have love letters to whatever you're going to do, Wizards. And I know they try that sometimes, but I think they fail on a lot of these. They did not fail on these Forgotten Realms because they know D&D. You know, the people are in the same building who work on D&D. It's one of every color. I try to collect as many foil versions of this as I can. Try to keep the cube as blingy as possible, even if it's just little commons. Look at that little gelatinous cube there. Gotta love it. Other things you can run in a cube that you can't run anymore in Real Commander? Yeah, that's right. Old Dockside, a goblin. Should have been printed in Battle for Baldur's Gate, perhaps, or Adventures from Forgotten Realms, like a reprint. Wasn't. And some reason, I needed more goblins. So there we go. And then just fun things from the games. Got Asterion. I think they're probably going to release 2 characters every time they do one of these special drops. Who will be the next one? And then these are controversial. This came in the last drop. There was a lot of Beholder. They had one for like each I-beam special cards. So like a lot of new spells that were really fun to cast. But I don't know what I feel about the art. To me, the art seems too goofy. Some of them are okay. Like this one's very realistic. I enjoy that style more. And that one's okay-ish. But we've got Karazakar and Xanathar Guild Kingpin, and I'm honestly really torn. Like these are special in that I feel like I should run them in the cube. But I have foil Xanathar, and it's the art from the 5th edition books, and I think that looks beautiful on its own. So I'm running them currently because I spent good money on them, but I'm not sure if I want to keep it. Now going away from that wild art, these were another home run. Having lands that look like the old modules of adventure books, this is foil if you can't tell, but the rest aren't, is just an absolute slam dunk. I love these lands, and they add so much feeling and flavor to the cube. This is all about evoking the feeling of playing Dungeons and Dragons in the form of magic cards through this cube. So it's a labor of love. This takes art from a lot of the books over various editions. So this is from the Yawning Portal book from 5th edition. This is the Monster Manual from 3rd edition. One of the basic early box sets. A Bad Mofo. Faithless Looting. Old Player's Handbook. Dungeon Master's Guide from 4th edition. I wasn't playing at that time. A lot of people weren't playing at 4th edition. Supplemental Greyhawk materials. I mean, this is how Beholders used to look, so maybe I shouldn't complain about how Beholders look. Some people prefer this hilarious orange. And to be fair, it's sort of terrifying. Like if you did see this with its like drooping mouth, like it had a stroke and its eyelids that are closing. But this one really strikes home because, as I said earlier, there was a math teacher in 6th grade that gave me and my friend our first books. And this was the first book I ever got. It was the Dungeon Master's Guide for 2nd edition. So every time I see this art, I'm just filled with a wave of gratitude and nostalgia for, this math teacher who was just like, well, I don't have anybody to play. I moved down here from Notre Dame to teach, and now, couldn't find any nerds in rural Louisiana. I feel your pain, buddy. That Dark Deal was one of the bonus cards from last time. And finally, we'll just go over some of these special cards. Windshaper Planetar. I own about 150 copies of this card right now currently. It is one of my favorite Commander cards. If you guys play Commander, I would highly recommend taking a look at it. It makes for a lot of fun and unique sort of Aikido sort of style effects. You'd be like, who are these messy signatures? Well, this is Kelly McLaughlin and Monty Martin, otherwise known as the Dungeon Dudes. So at Gen Con, I was like, let me get some D&D creators to do signatures on what their favorite class would be. Monty Martin and Kelly McLaughlin are the only 2 creators I have so far. So one day we'll get there. These arts I need to kind of update. I have 2 foil full arts. So I have Ebon Death and Icing Death and Ebon Death. And I think these are incredible. Like the arts on these are just stunning in foil. Especially that Icing Death. That card is a beautiful. Look at that thing. It pops. I need to get the special versions of these, though, and I'm sure that's going to cost me a pretty penny with old Gnawbone. My wallet, help! But needs to happen at some point. Here's the D&D movie cards. Love the D&D movie. I don't know if y'all did, but I thought it was amazing. This was the bonus card. Timber Chode. Yeah, people were mad that like I have Chris Pine and Hugh Grant on my cards, but whatever. Like, I don't know. You're about to see some stuff that's even more like world breaking. But if like Techno Beholder didn't break your world, I don't think these should break your world either. Your immersion, because honestly, like Techno Scribble, Jackson Pollock Beholders aren't exactly the most D&D like things either. But hey, here we are. And then finally, where a lot of people my age fell in love with D&D, the cartoon. So even before I was playing, I was watching the wonderful cartoon. So I had to order this D&D Lair after it was kind of sold out. I didn't have a cube at the time when this came out. Maybe this was a precursor, but adds just some wonderful extra cards. Hero removal spells are nice. Fun little Primal Vigor with Warduke there screaming in the background. Eric doing nothing as he usually does, holding his shield up, protecting himself. Old Winnie crashing through. And our favorite wizard, who always had the wrong things popping out of his hat. So, thank you for enjoying that little trip to the D&D Cube with me. If you would like to see like a more structured sort of look at how the D&D Cube is built, maybe we can go ahead and do that in a future video. Leave a comment below. This has gone on long enough. Much appreciation, much love for everybody here, and have a great rest of your day.